You don't think it's a good idea for the Biden administration to end Title 42. Why?
No, I think it's time to end Title 42.
Okay.
I don't think we should have ever implemented it. It's a very cynical reading of U.S. law. There's only one person that this helped, and that was Greg Abbott, politically in the short term on one cable network. For everyone else, this has been terrible. It's sending prices through the roof, spiking inflation even higher in the state of Texas. It's causing massive supply chain problems. So this weekend, when we go to the supermarket, there is not going to be anything on the shelves in the produce section. It is exacerbating supply chain problems for the electronics, the TVs, the parts to the Toyota trucks that are made here in Texas. He is tanking the Texas economy with what he's doing at the border. And the worst part about all of this is we gained nothing from a security or safety perspective. That inspection is already done by Customs and Border Protection. So this was a purely political stunt that has done deep damage, not just to the Texas economy, but to the national economy.
But you've heard the narrative beforehand about defunding the police. Let me tell you what the defunders of police are. Those are those who did not vote on the Build Back Better bill. Money was in that bill for police officers.
We've really heard some absurd statements this morning out of our Democrat colleagues. We were all intrigued on this side to hear just a few moments ago the suggestion that now the Democrats claim they are the ones who support and want to fund law enforcement. And of course, that must be a joke. I mean, it must be a joke. Come on. I mean, we've seen historical revisionism, but this is just absurd. That did not come from the White House. It did not come from the Democrats of Congress. And look, the American people are onto this. It's a joke.
Is COVID still a crisis?
It is still a real challenge for our country, right? I mean, if you look at this, we still have lots of people getting infected. 400 Americans are still, 400 or 500 Americans are still dying every day of this virus. And we have seen pretty substantial evolution of this virus over time. So the pandemic is not over. And if you look across the country, as I said, infections are still at a relatively historic low. Hospitalizations are very low. And the CDC scientists determined that Title 42 is not necessary at the border. It's a public health decision made by the CDC, and I think that they're following the evidence as they see it.
He's the president of the United States and the leader of the free world, and he is allowed to make his views known at any point he would like.
So it was not scripted then? It wasn't pre-planned?
Again, I think we shouldn't misunderstand who he is and where he stands in the totem pole, which is at the top.
3 times now the president has made comments about the war that the White House or he himself subsequently said did not reflect U.S. policy or legal determination when Does this not send a signal to the world that there kind of is an asterisk next to anything that the president says?
Well, when the president ran, he promised the American people he would shoot from the shoulder, is his phrase that he often uses, and tell it to them straight. And his comments yesterday, not once but twice, the president was calling it like he sees it, and that's what he does.
President, come on over. President, just a few questions.
That you may be leaving soon. How will you like to be remembered as White House press secretary?
Well, one day I will not be here, either to spend time with my kids or because the president fires me, hopefully not the latter. At that point, I'm sure I can reflect on that.
Liberals will try to compare what's going on now to 100 years ago when immigrants came to the United States. The difference between then and today is today we have a welfare system. A large number of children, those children automatically become on welfare. They get Medicaid, which is free health care. They're going to get free education. They're going to get free housing. They're going to get free food. And, you know, this is a burden on the American taxpayers. That
Governor Abbott has been conducting have led to disruptions for the food and automobile supply chains and rising prices for families. So is the White House blaming Greg Abbott for inflation?
Well, I think we're trying to state the facts of what his another political stunt that we're seeing happen and the impact of it. And with these unnecessary inspections of trucks transiting ports of entry between Texas and Mexico are significant delays, which are resulting in a drop in commercial traffic. CBP officers are very good at their jobs, and Texas DPS does not need to replace CBP at the southern border.
The issue with Greg Abbott, is the White House planning to do anything to alleviate the supply chain disruptions or pressure him into rescinding the order?
Well, obviously our preference is that he rescinds the order, and our effort today was to highlight what the impact is and how this is not a step that is in immigration policy or addressing root issues at the border. This is
when they get here. Are you guys going to help them find a place to stay and something for them to do?
Well, I'm not aware of what authority the governor would be doing that under. I think it's pretty clear this is a publicity stunt. His government, not a state.
Washington, D.C.?
Well, listen, I don't know, but I know that the governor of Texas or any state does not have the legal authority to compel anyone to get on a bus.
Does the president then acknowledge any responsibility for the inflation that we're seeing now based on the decisions that he's made when he came into office?
We've had a lot of success moving more equipment and goods through ports, et cetera.
Take responsibility for his decisions, like some say the American Rescue Plan boosted demand when it didn't need to. Larry Summers was one of those.
The administration for the Putin's price hikes. I just got back actually last week. I was out in Michigan talking to a lot of voters who told me that they feel that inflation has predated the war. And I'm curious how the administration just, squares this all together. I mean, many voters do feel that inflation, and correctly so, predates the war, and it can't all be blamed on Vladimir Putin.
We talked about inflation long before there was an invasion.